So this video is going to be looking at the Herodotus sources on the Battle of Mycale. So that in your source books you need to find that particular battle, and it's the sources 9.98 to 99 and then 9.105 to 106. So remember, anytime we're looking at sources on the battles, we are looking for causes of the battles, key events of the battles, and any effects of the battles. So we're going to start obviously with 9.98. So when the Greeks learned that the barbarians had gone off to the mainland, they were not all pleased that their enemy had escaped them and did not know whether to return back or set sail for the Hellespont. So this is the very last battle of the Persian Wars. The Persians have gone back to Persia and the mainland, and the Greeks are unhappy. In fact, I'm going to highlight that. I forgot to do it. There we go. Are not happy about this. So this could be a reason for the battle, because their enemy has escaped them and they're going to basically don't quite know what to do. And maybe this is one of the reasons why they decide to go after them. At last they resolved they would do neither, but sail to the mainland. So they decided to go after the Persians into Persia. Equipping themselves for this with gangways and everything else necessary for a sea fight, they held their course for Mycale. When they approached the camp, no one put out to meet them. So these are just some key events that I've highlighted as we go through. Seeing the ships beached within the wall and a great host of men drawn up in array along the strand, Lutochides, I think is how you say it, first sailed along with his ship, keeping as near to the shore as he could, and made this proclamation to the Ionians by the voice of a herald. So the main commander, this guy here, is going to sort of shout something to the Ionians in order to hopefully get a response. Men of Ionia, you who hear us, understand what I say, for by no means will the Persians understand anything I charge you with when we join battle. First of all, it is right for each man to remember his freedom, and next the battle cry. And let him who hears me tell him who has not heard it. So in other words, he's saying, Ionians, remember you need to fight for your freedom. So when you hear the battle cry, join us. So the purpose of this act was the same as Themistocles' purpose at Artemisium. Either the message would be unknown to the barbarians and would prevail to the Ionians, so the Persians wouldn't understand it and the Ionians would get on and join, or if it were thereafter reported to the barbarians, it would cause them to mistrust their Greek allies. So it would cause divisions within the Persian forces as a result. After this council, the Greeks brought their ships to land and disembarked on the beach, where they formed a battle column. So again, just some key events of the battle. But the Persians, seeing the Greeks prepare for battle and exhort the Ionians, first took all away the Samians' armour, suspecting that they would aid the Greeks. So the Samians are from an island called Samos. So the Persians are somewhat worried about the Samians and what they're going to do. For indeed, when the Persian ships brought certain Athenian captives who had been held in Attica and taken by Xerxes' army, the Samians had set them all free and sent them away to Athens with provisions for the journey. So the Samians had kind of, stabbed the Persians in the back previously and helped the Persians' enemy, the Athenians. So for this reason, they were held in suspect. As for having set free 500 souls of Xerxes' enemies, which is understandable why the Persians would think the Samians are going to do something. So, fair play. Furthermore, they appointed the Milesians to guard the passes leading to the heights of Mycale, alleging that they were the best acquainted with the country. So again, key event, you've got Persians trying to defend themselves. Their true reason, however, for doing so was the Milesians, should be separate from the rest of their army. In such a manner, the Persians safeguarded themselves from those Ionian who they supposed might turn against them if opportunity were given for themselves. They set their shields close to make a barricade. So the Persians are kind of aware they're on the back foot here. They know that they've got sort of essentially Greeks on Persian land who they don't trust. So they're trying to protect themselves from their armaments, so sort of creating a barrier, but also sort of dividing up these sort of Greeks in inverted commas who were technically Persians. There we go. So in that battle, we skip the main part of the battle and come towards the end. So in that battle, those of the Greeks who fought the best were the Athenians. Well, of course, Herodotus will say this because he's pro-Athenian. And the Athenian who fought best was the one who practiced the pancranium, Hermolycus, son of that gentleman there. So this Hermolycus, on a later day, met his death in a battle fine. We don't really care about that battle. Those who fought best after the Athenians were the men of Corinth and Troezen and Sicyon. Oh, that's nice. So the Athenians are best, but, you know, as I said, Herodotus is pro-Athenian, so of course they did the best. When the Greeks had made an end of most of the barbarians, either in battle or in flight, they brought out their booty onto the beach and found certain stores of wealth. So they've basically killed off loads of the Persians, they've beaten them, and now they found loads of money. After burning the ships and the whole of the war, they sailed away. So they did their job, they've kind of proved their points, they've attacked the Persians, and now they're going to decide what to do next. When they arrived in Samos, they debated in council over the removal of all Greeks from Ionia, and in what Greek land under their dominion it would be best to plant the Ionians, leaving the country itself to the barbarians, for it seemed impossible to stand on guard between the Ionians and their enemies forever, which, to be fair, is a fair point. So what we're going to do with these Ionians, these Greek states that are on Persian land, but we can't protect them properly. If, however, they should not so stand, they had no hope that the Persians would permit the Ionians to go unpunished. Yeah, Persians would probably go after the Ionians. I don't remember what they went after the Athenians, so yeah, it's fair enough. In this matter, the Spartans who were in charge, we know that because the head of the Hellenic League, were for removing the people from the lands of those Greek nations which had sided with the Persians and giving their land to the Ionians to dwell in. So the Spartans essentially want to take off the land of any Greeks who had Medes, who had sided the Persians, and give that land to the Ionians that they pull out of the region. But again, we have divisions within the Hellenic League. So the Athenians disliked this plan of removing the Greeks from Ionia or allowing the Peloponnesians to determine the lot of the Athenian colonies, and they resisted vehemently. So they were really, really, really angry about it and really disagreed. And the Peloponnesian Spartans yielded and decided not to do it. It accordingly came about that they admitted to their alliance the Samians, the Chians, the Lesbians, and all other islands who had served with their forces, and bound them by pledge and oath to remain faithful and not to desert their allies. When the oaths had been sworn, the Greeks set sail to break the bridges, supposing these still held fast. So they laid their course for the Hellespont. So those islands, so Samos, Chios, and Lesbos, they had also helped the Athenians and the Hellenic League, and so they're going to join the Hellenic League as well, and then they're going to break the bridges that had kind of joined the Persian lands and the Greek lands through the Hellespont, and then technically that is then the end of the Persian War.